Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's the Swagger here. I got a chance to play Street Fighter V at CEO this weekend, and I went to CEO with the idea that I was only going to play Street Fighter V. So I spent a lot of time just doing that. And the reason why I did that is because I wanted to be able to help people make the transition from Street Fighter 4 to Street Fighter 5, and the only way for me to do that is to have gathered information to share with you guys now today. If you haven't had the luxury of playing the older Street Fighter games, so Street Fighter Super Turbo, the Alpha series, the Street Fighter 3 series, you're going to have a hard time understanding what Street Fighter 5 is returning to. Street Fighter 4 was very block string heavy, very pressure oriented, especially as far as wake up situations, so you had a vortex that we all got used to. The strength of throwing was really important in that game. Crouch teching allowed you to confirm for basically full combos and max damage situations just because you were, mashing to break a throw. That is unlike any other Street Fighter. And in Street Fighter V, crouch teching is pretty much completely removed. There are some situations in the beta right now where you can kinda do like an OS with crouch teching, but for the most part, that system is gone. So you have to learn now, while you can, to break the habit of just rolling your fingers across crouch tech, because in Street Fighter V you're going to lose a whole lot of health for it really quickly. The next thing I want to talk about is footsies and punishment situations in Street Fighter V in comparison to 4. Street Fighter 4, although footsies were an important part of the game, as with any Street Fighter game, focus attack and things like FADCs and general Street Fighter 4 engine specific things made footsies strong but not as important as they had been in other games. For instance, Street Fighter 3, a lot of the times you had 2 and maybe 3 hits that would cancel into a super, and that was only from situations where you were up close, you were already in their face. In Street Fighter 4, most characters can kind of footsie their way into big damage, or they can walk through footsies simply by doing focus dash forward. So it wasn't so important that you learned how to deal with playing footsies in Street Fighter 4 as it had been in other games. In Street Fighter Alpha, one of Rose's strengths were her buttons, and although that translated a little bit into Street Fighter 4, Rose's Street Fighter 4 strength comes from her ability to evade buttons and evade being hit. So her mobility became strong in Street Fighter 4. But in Alpha, she was a brick wall of buttons, and if you didn't know how specifically to handle a character like Rose or Chun-Li or even Sakura in some instances and other characters that had good buttons, you were in some trouble. So you have to take the time out now to learn how to deal with playing footsies and develop the reactions to handle playing proper footsie. So I mean with punishing, pushing things preemptively, knowing your ranges, knowing your advantages from certain distances, knowing how to throw proper fireballs and the strength of fireballs. Because if you don't do that now, you're going to have a really hard time making the transition. Now, this isn't so important for people who aren't trying to be competitive in Street Fighter 4. But if you are trying to be competitive, I'm telling you now, take the time out to play the older games. And don't play the older games to learn them, but play the older games to maybe get a feel of what you will be dealing with when Street Fighter V comes out. Because it's going to be important. I can't stress that enough. It will be important. There's characters like Chun-Li in Street Fighter V who her V-trigger makes her normals hit 3 times. That matters, because in footsies, if you push a button and you get hit by Chun-Li's far-standing fierce punch, you're essentially taking 3 times the damage. And that's a rough estimate, obviously, because I didn't have the ability to really estimate the damage and see how much it was doing, because there was no training mode or anything like that. But basically, you're getting hit 3 times by this character for getting out footsie or whiff punished. And it's hard. It's really hard to make that kind of comeback in Street Fighter V as it is currently. Things could change, obviously, as with any video you'll hear on YouTube. Things can change and will, so expect them to. But for now, I'm stressing, learn how to play things that aren't Street Fighter 4 as far as Street Fighter games are concerned. The reason I say this is because Street Fighter 4 is not a traditional Street Fighter game. And you will hear a lot of the older players saying this to you, how the block strings are exaggerated and the throw setups are just extreme, and all these aggressive situations that don't make for a traditional Street Fighter game. That's why a lot of the community stopped playing it at that point. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Street Fighter 4 is bad, so don't let people beat you down for being a fan of Street Fighter 4, but you have to understand that the way Street Fighter 4 plays is very, very unique when compared to the games that were available before it, you know? So, and now going to become available after it. So Street Fighter 4 can either put you in your grave competitively, or you can prepare to shed the bad habits and the shell that you that you kind of developed while playing it. Prepare for that now. I think I'll end the video here, because I think I've kind of gotten the bulk of my point across with the differences between Street Fighter 5 and 4. I want to add more, but I think I'll save those for other videos. So I'm going to do some character specific things, like for the characters that are available right now, because I really feel like Birdie's strength is highly exaggerated based off of E3 footage. If you have any questions, please send them to my Twitter. My Twitter will be in the description bar. I'll have it somewhere in this video. But if you don't see it either of those two places, it's KujaIsLoved at twitter.com or twitter.com/KujaIsLoved. And that's where you can just spam me your questions. Ask me as many as you want. Ask me whatever you want, and I will answer your questions to the best of my ability. Thanks, and I'll talk to you guys again later.